Welcome, Joseph. I'm so glad you're here. And I do
Nice to be
find
here.
that you're a really interesting person to talk to these days.
Yep. Thank you. And
And
why do you think? And why do you think that?
Because every time I have a conversation with you, you have a perspective that isn't one that I've heard in many other places.
That's interesting.
Also love that the work that you have been doing from when I first met you is being very creative with your clients, that when there seems to be a challenge, you actually dig in and find solutions. So I know you are solution oriented, and I know that you are creative, and I know you care about people. So,
That's actually a really important, and it's not something I can tell people, oh, I care about you, and then they'll believe you. You know, it has to come through your pores. You have to really actually care about people.
And you do.
And I do. Even though saying it doesn't mean it's true, I do. Because everyone will say that.
You know what I'm thinking we should do? We didn't do
Yeah.
this. Introduce you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I will introduce myself. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, so my name is Joseph Knudsen. I am the owner of an insurance agency called HIQS Group. And you might say, why is it called HIQS? That doesn't mean anything. And that's actually true. It doesn't mean anything. When this first started, it was a health insurance oriented agency, and we called it Health Insurance Quote Service. Well, that's fine, but as the legislation and everything for health insurance came, we faced perhaps the demise of health insurance. So we just took the first letter of each of those words, Health Insurance Quote Service, and called it HIQS. And that allows us to have something that doesn't mean anything to anybody and allows us to create an identity, actually, that's fine. Unfortunately, the first person who, about 2 weeks after we did that, someone came through and said, oh, is this the HIQS Group? And I never really spelled it out or sounded it out, and I thought, oh, great, now I'm going to be a hick. But actually, it's been a good way of creating an identity that's not related totally to health insurance. And more recently, it's allowed us to expand beyond health insurance into retirement planning, and with a partnership with an investment advisor named William Joseph, we've expanded into helping people manage their investment accounts, and it's achieved something that I've always been frustrated with in this environment. Going back 24 years, I started in 1996, and when I started, did mostly health insurance, life insurance, but health insurance and life insurance are part of a bigger picture. And in having and so when I talk to people about, can you afford this, can you not afford this, and here's the price and everything else, it's like offering a commodity without understanding what else is going on in their world. Unless you understand that there is a different world and how you go about communicating and finding clients, you're going to find that you're left behind. You have to continue not to resent change, but to embrace change and see, where do I fit in here?
So by asking the question, where do I fit in here, you open doorways to answers to that?
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
Okay. Is there any person who particularly inspires you through this period of, or just inspires you, but in particular through a period of change?
That's a good question. Um, I sort of inspire myself.
Okay.
um,
Or books that have influenced the way that you think, because not everyone thinks like you. They're
um, I'm a fan, and in fact, we've talked about this. I'm a fan of Napoleon Hill. Um, the sort of, it's sort of like The Power of Positive Thinking. It's called Think and Grow Rich, and I have um, tried to use the principles from that book really my whole life. And these are principles where you are trying to, first of all, find other people who are like-minded, like yourself, to communicate with, to encourage each other, that you're not working alone, and that you are you're forming what he calls a mastermind group, and in this mastermind, you are in working together. There is more than just this one person doing something. He talks about Andrew Carnegie, and Andrew Carnegie was asked. He says, "Well, you just happened to be at the right time at the right place, and you were I think he did Steel, didn't he? Steel, and he had a bunch of people working with him, and they said, well, if you took that all away, then would you, could you really see yourself succeeding? And he says, I have, a collection of 10, 15 people that are my key people. And if you gave me those key people and took away this empire, with those people, we could find a whole new place to do this, and we could create another successful enterprise, or even an empire. That it's more important on and how in getting these key people to who can work together than it is the luck of we happen to be in the right place at the right time, and we're at Sutter's Mill, and suddenly there's gold there, and that's we're lucky. So finding other people that you can work with is really important, and they don't even have to be doing what you're doing. So I think that's a key.
Napoleon Hill, I believe it helped if they weren't doing what you were doing, so that you would have access to multiple knowledge bases.
That's right. That's right. So and I try to keep myself abreast of current events without being so distracted that suddenly half your day has gone by because you're learning, who died with the COVID disease today, and how many people are distressed and everything. But at the same time, what's happening to people and what's happening in the world is important to understand and have perspective on. And it helps people. It helps you relate to people and what they're going through. Because again, going back to caring, if you're only aware of what you're doing and not what's happening in the world, you can't really go out there and work with people. And because everyone has their own set of concerns and awareness,
circumstances, awareness.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time. I'm going to put your contact information on a, somehow technologically, I am going to manipulate this so that your contact information will show up on the screen and people can hit pause and have that. Is there any final word that you would like to pronounce here before we end the interview?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity actually that you've given me to do what everyone likes to do, which is talk about themselves and to share. So,
that's fun. And you do have some words of wisdom, which will probably serve somebody well. Thank you, Joseph.
I hope so. Thank you. Take care.